We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this Rebel Outpost. If you want to support the home for the true college football sickos with a donation to help us keep the lights on, hit that $sign where you make your comment and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody, even the evil Hawkeyes and the evil Badgers. Welcome in everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. We've got a stacked show today. Absolutely stacked. The Washington Huskies, they go under the PATC spotlight. We did Oregon on Saturday. We're doing Washington here on Monday. Tomorrow starts the Big Ten Media Days. And I've already seen, now Shakur says, finally we get a show without Greg ranting about the playoff format. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. But unless something breaks today while we're doing this live show, but starting tomorrow, all I'm saying, I ain't saying, but I'm saying, I expect, no. I demand Silent Tony to go up there in front of the microphone and fight for your vision. Take all the questions and answer them appropriately. Shout it out from the rooftop. No, you're not going to be like the fat guy from Minnesota. You're going to be professional. You're going to use words that I can't even pronounce, all that good stuff. But you need to perform, baby. You need to get up there and you need to fight for the vision. I can't do it for you. You got to get up there. So, yeah, today I probably won't be ranting about the college football playoff format. But tomorrow I will. Most likely. And Wednesday. And Thursday. During the Big Ten media days. We've got a stack show. We're going to be doing the Washington Spotlight. The AAC, the American Athletic Conference, is doing a rebranding. Thank God. Thank you. Thank you, Tim Pernetti. Job well done. I hated saying the AAC and the ACC and the American Athletic Conference. I can barely say it. The American Conference or the American, I love it. And you got a mascot. You've got a mascot. You've got an eagle. Soar is the name. Soar is the name of the mascot. The first mascot, I believe, in conference history. However, with that news, the fat guy from Minnesota has gotten permission from the Big Ten Conference to show the Big Ten mascot. The Big Ten mascot, first released on my X account, now released here at Peek Around the Corner. Peek Around the Corner, giving you the peek, giving you the accurate peek of the mascot for the Big Ten Conference. Countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. There it is. That is the mascot of the Big Ten Conference. Okay. And we got the big news. We got the big news coming out of Yahoo Sports on 3. Nicole Auerbach. It was broken by Ross Dellinger. Memphis offers the Big 12. In the title of my the title of this live show is Memphis offers hundreds of $1 million, because I can't say it's just $200 million. It's more than that they offered the Big 12 when you add it all up, potentially. So I think the most accurate way to say it is Memphis offered hundreds of millions of dollars in sponsorship, not taking revenue for the media deal, to the Big 12. And the Big 12 says no. The Big 12 did not bring it up to a vote, according to reports. There is no interest in adding Memphis to the Big 12 Conference. I don't think that should come as a surprise. And I don't think it should come as a surprise to, let me put it this way. Did we here at College Football Peek Around the Corner, did we have any information? Did we have any steam at all that the Memphis Tigers were engaging with the Big 12 and offering hundreds of $1 million? The answer is no. We did not know. However, I put this post up. Memphis No risk offer to the Big 12. Not only school to offer, the Big 12 not only conference to receive such an offer. As we have been talking about here at Peek Around the Corner, it is very active, very fluid out there in the world of realignment. Nothing imminent, at least we don't believe so. Nothing imminent, but active and fluid. We have discussed here at Peek Around the Corner in public that there are schools, one in particular, if the ACC should implode, if the ACC does get poached, there is at least one school in particular that has made it known if their fellow North Carolina gets picked up, a few other ACC schools get picked up, a particular ACC school has let it be known that they will come in P2, Big Ten, and they will take care of themselves for the next 4 to 5 years. And that is the Duke Blue Devils. They're not the only ones. I also want to make something perfectly clear on something. So this is happening in G5 country. Memphis is not the only one. We did not know about Memphis. It's also happening in the Autonomy 4 potential realignment, the next major disruption. But I want to make something perfectly clear. I am guilty of this as well. When we talk about the Southeastern Conference pro rata, when we talk about how, the Southeastern Conference can just add teams and ESPN's going to pay for it because there's a pro rata agreement. That is true for the most part. Number one, Southeastern Conference, they're going to have at least a buy-in from ESPN before they add anybody, right? It's not going to be like, no offense to Tulane. By the way, I have flipped because of Jake Ratzlaff committing to the Tulane Green Wave. I have now flipped. I have Tulane. Greg the Gold has Tulane going into the college football playoffs ahead of Boise State. The missing piece for Tulane was the quarterback. Yeah, they had a bunch of guys with experience, but none of them are Jake Ratzlaff. Brendan Sullivan is not Jake Ratzlaff. Tulane's going to have the best defense in the American. The defensive line is legit. They've got a leading linebacker. Tulane's defense was good last year, except at the very end of the season, the last 3 games, the defense had a bunch of injuries, a bunch of people hurting. It collapsed. But for the most part, Tulane's defense is going to be legit. The top of the G5, and now they got a quarterback. But anyways, I digress. Tulane, the Southeastern Conference is not going to invite Tulane, and then ESPN is going to give them the full freight. I mean, to a certain point, it's true. The pro rata is true. But more importantly, when we talk about SEC, ESPN pro rata deal, the school isn't necessarily going to get full freight. The pro rata deal is between the media partners, in this case, media partner, ESPN, with the Southeastern Conference. If the Southeastern Conference add 2 schools, let's say they add 2 schools in the next 18 months, the pro rata deal is ESPN has to pay the Southeastern Conference the full freight of those 2 schools. But the conference doesn't have to give the 2 schools the full freight. Much like what happened with California and Stanford. And then the biggest example is SMU. That money is being paid to the ACC, and then the ACC distributes the money per the bylaws of the conference. And when they added SMU, when they added Stanford, when they added California, there was an addendum to the bylaws that says this is a certain percentage given out to California and Stanford. This is 0%, whatever, tier 1 money at least, to SMU 0. And then the money gets distributed to the other teams in the ACC conference. That is a long ways of saying schools are they're not, if you're not North Carolina, if you're not Notre Dame, you're not knocking on Sankey's door. You're not knocking on Tony Petitti's door and saying, all right, what can we do for you? How can we get into this conference? What can we do for you? Oh, by the way, we need the full freight, or we're not going to have this meeting. The schools are not doing that. They're not. They may get full freight, but the schools are saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to add on to this facility, we're going to make a new basketball arena, we're going to increase our research in genetics, on and on and on. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And some of them are saying, look, what else can we do? You only got to pay us half, or maybe less. Now, for Oregon and Washington, they're getting paid what they're getting paid, and no really extra money's going to the other Big Ten schools. They did not get pro rata. But I'm just giving an example. When we're talking about pro rata and SEC, it doesn't necessarily mean that the schools going to get invited are going to get full freight for the next 4 years until the next media deal. They probably will, but maybe not. Maybe not. If they don't get all the money, that other money's going to go to the conference and the other schools in the SEC. It might be needed to grease the skids. So there are schools out there that are being mighty aggressive, saying, what can we do for you? And today, we got the report that the Memphis Tigers offered a whole hell of a lot to the Big 12. The Big 12 said no. The Big 12 said no. You need 12 out of 16 presidents to get voted into the Big 12. Big 12, look, they're doing what every other conference is doing. They're looking out for their best interests. Nothing against Memphis, but Big 12 has got other plans. They've got other options gamed out, right? They don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future. Just like they didn't quite know exactly what was going to happen in the Big Pac-12, but they had a pretty good idea that summer. But Memphis is not in the plans. They could have brought in a whole lot of money. A whole lot of money, and that money would have been is greatly needed in the Big 12. Getting a few million here and a few million there. Holy smokes. But the Big 12 has got other plans. I remember back in the day when, if you remember, Oklahoma's president David Boren made the announcement that the Big 12 was going to be looking at expansion. And they went ahead and they vetted a whole bunch of schools. Remember that? At that time, of course, I did not have a YouTube channel. I was new on X. And BTM and his associates had a Oklahoma, and I said it at the time, I put it out there on X. I had an Oklahoma booster. And the Oklahoma booster told BTM and his associates that Memphis is not even going to get through the first, they were going to have, they had the first type of introduction, we're open for business, we're open for expansion. But Memphis wasn't going to get to that final presentation like a lot of other schools did get that presentation. And I put that out on X. And there is a well-known reporter that currently works, I believe, for USA Today. His initials are DW. And he just let me have it. Holy smokes. And I said, I'm just putting out, I know you don't know me from Adam, but this information, he just let me have it, man. He just went after me. And then about a week later, it was reported that Memphis did not get the next, they did not get to the point where UConn got to. And a lot of other schools. And then he went back at me in the DM and it apologized. So anyways, it's all good. So I've got a kind of a history with Memphis and a long-time reporter. But I digress again. So we've got a stacked show today. We got Washington Huskies under the spotlight. We got the rebranding, the American, and we got the story of Memphis. I am going to be very interested to hear from Big 12 fans. I want to hear your phone calls. Of course, your super chats I will get to immediately. I will go through the comments when we have time. I am very interested to see what the Big 12 fans think about Memphis. Should have they made the deal? Or should they be still negotiating with Memphis? Or did the Big 12 presidents make the right decision? I also threw out, before we get to your roll call here, I also threw out a little elbow, and most people took it in the spirit that I gave it. Most people gave, I was just giving a little elbow to my Big 12 brothers and sisters out there. Forces inside the Big 12 are all for Kumbaya Super League of 72 teams, schools, to save college sports. Everyone together. Memphis makes a substantial monetary proposal to the Big 12 for conference invite, and the Big 12 says, nah, we're good at 16. We're good at 16. Again, let me make it clear, because some people got really sensitive about it. I don't blame the Big 12 for saying no. The Big 12 is looking out for their institutions. The Big 12 is looking out for what they perceive to be their best interest. And at this time, it does not include Memphis. All I was saying is that everybody looks out for the self-interest. Nobody has a high moral. Nobody holds the high ground on the morals here when it comes to realignment. It never sleeps. It starts with the biggest dominoes first. Relationships are important. Everybody's trying to get the higher ground, and every school is looking out for their self-interest. Okay, let's do the roll call. Let's do the roll call here at Peek Around the Corner, and then we are going to get into the Washington Huskies spotlight, rebranding of the American, and then we're going to get back into Washington. I'm sorry, get back to Memphis. Jared Jones is in the house. Richard L., Rock and Rant, Karan Shakar, Juan Carlos, Skaven, yes. Don Scruggs, Humble Bumble Duck, Humble Bumble Duck has to listen to me talk about the Washington Huskies. Yikes, CFB Plus is in the house. I wonder if the Big 12 already has a plan. Yep, they do, and I'm sure they have different scenarios of that plan. It doesn't sound like Memphis is going to be a part of those plans. Mountaineer Memes is in the house. Memphis must not have any confidence in a post-FSU Clemson ACC. That is an interesting comment. Maybe the bird of the hand is worth way more than two birds in the bush. In other words, if we can get a deal with the Big 12 now, let's get it done now. John Dry's in the house. Caleb Ramirez. Memphis can't be the only school that's trying this. No, they are not. No, they are not. Texas Tech, Laura Weiss. Is the Texas Tech Red Raiders trying this? Are they looking at something like this? Are the Red Raiders going to the Big Ten and let's say, look what we can do for you all. Look at our billionaire. Look at Cody Campbell. Look what he can do for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I don't know. Al Woody's in the house. Al Woody, Daniel Gorby is here. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Still Austin is here. Breeze in Georgia. Bimba 75, 79. James Foster. Gold Sun Devils is in the house. The Evil Badger, Jeff Olson, is in the chat. Dogs and Dubs is in the chat. Stephen Vitt is here. Who else is here? A lot of people. A lot of people have come on in. Appreciate it, guys and gals. Appreciate it. Tarvis Phillips is in the house. Memphis is in the building. Jay Chapman. John Dry. Friends call me Sean. Cranky Tiger. BYU football. I got the keys. Keith Moore is in the house. MBM. Kenneth Maynor is here. Nathan Jones. Tough Tony. Stormy Cyclone. Greg has flipped. That's nothing new. Tulane. Book it, Stormy. Book it. Son of Sarek is in the house. I don't know about that, Son of Sarek. I don't know about that. The Almighty Finn. Rest in peace, Malcolm Jamal Warner. He will be missed. He will be missed. A great actor. From all accounts, a great person. Humanitarian. Did a lot of work out there. Yeah, it's a tough loss. Unconfirmed. I think it's still unconfirmed, but it sounds like it's an accidental drowning. That has been put out there by a few outlets. I don't know if it's entirely confirmed. Costa Rica, I believe. Very tough. Prayers go out to Malcolm Jamal Warner's loved ones and friends. The next time you see Malcolm Jamal Warner, it will be forever. Ron Lowney is in the house. Coy is here. Jose, USC. Call Me David is in the house. A lot of people trying to get through it. The Big Gun Shop. John Uzi is here. Vox Quindaro. Azon the Kid. Rock Chalk. Jayhawk. Randy Taylor. Go Black 45. Go Black 45. Hummus Hero. Haven't seen Hummus Hero in a while. West Virginia Walrus is in the house. Timo Everywhere Rambler. Justin Lucas. So oil money is worth more than FedEx money? I don't think so. Heartbreak 25. Greg, if you nail all of your PSU wins this year, I'll donate $100 and start calling you Don the Gopher Goat. You know what? You guys don't have to worry about anything. I'm not just going to get the Penn State. I'm not just going to get everything correct on Penn State. I'm going to get everything correct on everything. Everything.
I know you told your friend you're
there
not
is no
okay.
more Greg
Tell
the
me
Cooler.
what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.
Greg the Cooler
Try to stay strong and
has
fake
faded.
a smile until I look away.
Faded away.
But I've known you too long. It hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.
Bye-bye, Greg the Cooler. Bye-bye. No longer here. Gone. See ya!
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you.
Oh, you non-believers. You non-believers, baby. And it's gonna start quick. It's gonna be like the Iowa State Kansas State game in Dublin, Ireland. 3.5 point spread. Greg the Goal. I'm gonna be 1-0 after Armageddon. I'm gonna be 1-0 after Armageddon in Ireland. I'm gonna be 1-0. Greg the Goal, August 23rd. Stormy Cyclone. Take Kansas State, please. How is Caleb Bacon? Is he healthy? Are the Cyclones going to I Spy Dylan Edwards out of the backfield? I've got questions. But before kickoff, before the watch party, and we're going to do a watch party on August 23rd, before that kickoff, I'm going to have all my questions answered. And I just might be picking the Iowa State Cyclone, Stormy Cyclone. I just might do that. Heartbreak 25, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you for starting us off today. I appreciate your generosity. Once again, Heartbreak 25. Don't worry about it. Penn State is going to win the Big Ten Conference. They're going to win the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis against the against the Buckeyes, against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Bill G, thank you so much once again. Holy smokes. 5 gifted memberships to the Wolfpack. Justin Lucas, West Virginia Walrus, David Sabanash, Papa Cade, and Jeff Watson. Thank you so much, Bill G. The 5 names I just read out, please say thank you to Bill G for his generosity. And when you get an opportunity in the chat room, Bill G, once again, thank you so very much for all you've done for me in this program, helping us keep the lights on, giving generous donations, membership, so everybody can enjoy all the episodes that we do here at Peek Around the Corner. By the way, we did drop episode 447 this morning. If you haven't watched it, after this live show, go take a look. It's about Jake Ratzlaff committing to Tulane. And I happen to think it's going to be mighty impactful, because that was the piece that Tulane was missing. Now they're not missing it. Jake Ratzlaff with Brendan Sullivan backing him up. I think Tulane with John Summerall is going to make it to the college football playoffs. How about them apples? Fear the Angry Wave. There's Vox Quindaro. Vox Quindaro knows what I'm saying. He understands. We are seeing the rebranding of Greg the Gold. It's not a rebrand. It's a rebirth. It's an absolute rebirth. Buckshot Kid is here. Holy smokes. Okay, we got to get to it, guys. We got a big show today. Thank you, Heartbreak 25. Thank you, Bill G, for your generosity. I do appreciate it so much. Thank you. Washington Huskies. Start with the quarterback. Demon Williams. Holy smokes. Did you see Demon Williams? I think, what was the bowl game? I can't remember the bowl. The Sun Bowl, maybe. No. Was it the Sun? Whatever bowl game it was. Demon Williams, he threw a bad interception, but then he was magnificent. Mr. Williams, in the short time that he played last year as a freshman, was absolutely brilliant. 944 yards passing, 8 touchdowns and 1 interception, 78% completion percentage, 176.9 quarterback rating, 282 yards rushing. I know. He didn't play much. I know. Okay? Great. You just, once again, Greg, this is why you're Greg the Cooler, Greg. You get so emotional, Greg. Well, I do get emotional. I love watching college football. I love the history. I love the pageantry. I love the passion. And I love watching young guys be absolutely brilliant. Demon Williams, the very short time that he played, if this guy was wearing the maroon and gold, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, do you know how much propaganda I'd be talking? You guys would unsubscribe to this channel left and right. I don't blame the Washington Husky fans for being excited about Demond Williams. Danielle says Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Okay, it was the Sun Bowl. I don't know why I wasn't confident. I thought maybe it was. Demond Williams. So, again, he's got the athletic ability. He's got a lot of talent. Now, is he going to be like a superstar this year? Is he going to be the one that emerges? He could be. He could be, and that would change everything. John Famlor brings up a great point. We are going to get to that a little bit later in the spotlight. Washington Huskies, they got a very tough schedule in the Big Ten this year. And it's not just the Buckeyes, the Wolverines, and the Ducks. We'll get to it in a moment. We will get to it in a moment. But Washington, they've got dudes. Jonah Coleman. I think last year, Coleman, I think that was his third year in the program. Third year as a college football player. And he came into his own. Over 1,000 yards rushing. 5.5 yards per rush. 10 rushing TDs. 23 receptions. He's a grown man. He's ready to be the bell cow like he was last year. Jonah Coleman is going to be Demond Williams' best friend in that offense. Now, Demond Williams' second best friend is this man, Denzel Boston, who did emerge last year. 63 receptions, 834 yards receiving, 13.2 average per catch, 9 receiving touchdowns. Denzel Boston, a great chain mover, a great possession receiver, a great third down receiver. So you've got Denzel Boston, who everybody expects to even have a bigger season this year. You've got Jonah Coleman. You've got Demond Williams who can take it and run. You got to have an eye spy on him. But what was Washington missing? What was Washington missing? Like they had back when Kalen DeBoer was the head coach. What was Mr. Fish, Coach Fish missing last year? Somebody who could stretch the field. The Huskies went into the portal. They got a guy that could be a great complement to Denzel Boston. Could be a great 1-2 punch. Amari Evans. Now, Amari Evans, I can't remember what game it was. I wish I could. There was a game last year. We did a watch party. And Amari Evans was great. It had to be his one great game of the year, right? He only had 21 receptions. But he made spectacular catches downfield. He ended up with 21 receptions, 415 yards, 19.8 average per catch, almost 20 yards. Amari Evans stretching the field. Denzel Boston and Decker DeGraff, another tight end. I believe he's going into his second year. I think he was a true freshman last year. Washington tight end, and he's probably going to emerge this year. So the Huskies, they've got some weapons. They've got weapons. They've also got Kevin Green, who's an upperclassman Washington Husky receiver. Tacario Davis. Washington went into the portal and got the man they wanted. A lot of people wanted Mr. Davis. He is a first round NFL draft pick next year in the 2026 spring draft. This man is considered, Tacario Davis, a shutdown corner. Arizona lost their best defensive player. He goes to Washington. This was a huge get for the Huskies. Huge. The Washington Huskies, if you look at it, they've got, you know, if you're looking at the best 6, 7, 8 best players on any roster in the Big Ten, Washington is right up there with everybody. I'm also interested in seeing if Zach Defree, I don't know what you would call him, a Russian outside linebacker, defensive end. He's not a defensive end, I don't think, but a Russian, Zach Defree, came to Washington a couple years ago. I wish I could remember where he played. Division III, somewhere in South Dakota or North Dakota. His tape was unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable tape. Great athlete. He got nicked up, I think, his first year at Washington. So look out for Zach Defree. I think he's going to be playing the outside linebacker or rush end. Another name to watch. Another name to watch, in my opinion. Maybe he'll do nothing for Washington. But man, he came into Washington and I thought he was going to be a superstar. And he might be a superstar this year. An incredible athlete. Talked about it earlier in the chat room. Washington's Big Ten schedule is a doozy. They got a home game against Ohio State. That is their first Big Ten game. Then you play Maryland and Rutgers, but then you got to go on the road to Michigan. And then you are at home against Illinois. And then you get a break. Then you go at Wisconsin, at home, Purdue, UCLA, and then Oregon. You've got Oregon, you've got Michigan, you've got Ohio State, and you've got Illinois. You've got Illinois. This is your Big Ten preseason media poll, by the way. Illinois is 4th by the media. Oregon is 3. Ohio State is 2. Michigan is 5. Washington plays all 4 of those teams. That is a brutal schedule. Brutal schedule. And there is, by the way, there's more that I can say about this. You've got, and I put it up on my X account. There are 4 ultimate truths in one person's life. 1, taxes. 2, death. 3, the media is going to pick Nebraska to finish ahead of Minnesota. 4, Minnesota is going to finish ahead of Nebraska in the Big Ten standings. Those are the 4 ultimate truths in life. And once again, it's been proven. Nebraska's 8, Minnesota is 11, and for Skaven, yes, and all you Cornhuskers out there, we'll see you in Minneapolis, baby. We'll see you in Minneapolis. Of course, we got the trophy. We got the $5 broken chair. It's been in Minnesota. for so long, a very long time, and it's going to stay in Minnesota. It's going to stay in Minnesota. Penn State, number 1. I got no problem with that. The Buckeyes, number 2. I'm going to have that. Oregon, number 3. I'm going to have that. Number 4. Number 4 to me is very, very interesting. Who's going to take that number 4 spot? For me, it's between Illinois and Indiana. I cannot. Now look, if Bryce Underwood looks like a fantastic quarterback against Oklahoma, I'm gonna okay. All right. I'm a believer, Michigan. I'm a believer. And I got to see those running backs at Michigan. But right now, I've got Illinois and Indiana battling for that number 4 spot. Ron Gronowski, I love Dylan Raiola. But anyways, that is the Big Ten poll. Going back to Washington's schedule, it's a tough Big Ten. It's a tough Big Ten schedule. Very tough. Very tough. So, anyways, that is your spotlight for the Washington Huskies. Let me know what I did wrong, what I got correct. But I think the Washington Huskies are in for an exciting season. They got a very good shot at pulling an upset in one of those 4 Big Ten games against Illinois, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. Think they got a good shot. Call me David. Washington will be 7-5. Gophers are looking to ruin the corn crops again. Matt Rule will rule the Gophers. Well, so far he hasn't. So far he lost his 1 game. The axe is made of wood. It's not plastic. It is wood. It can't be metal because you could kill somebody with that. No, it's a big old heavy axe. The Badgers are axeless and they'll continue to be axeless, Jeff Olson. Not this Gopher year. Skaven, yes. Okay. Before we get to the Memphis story, we got to get to the... I'm sorry, Ricky Tungate. I apologize. Ricky Tungate sends a gift membership. Mountaineer Memes. And Mountaineer Memes already said thanks to Ricky. Thank you, Mountaineer Memes. Thank you so much, Mr. Hoosier. I appreciate your generosity once again. Sending a gift membership to Mountaineer Memes. Both of you and everybody for Bill G. I forgot to do this for Bill G. Bill G and the 5 gift memberships that he gave out, all of you are officially knighted. Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, guys. Coach them up, Fish. Coach them up. Going to be an exciting season for Washington. No question about it. They start the season against Colorado State at home, and they got a September 20th game at Washington State. At Washington State. Okay. The American, Ross Dellinger, the American Conference, is announcing later today a renaming and retiring the names American Athletic Conference and the AAC. Thank you. The American Conference is so much better in so many ways. The American Conference, or we're just going to call them the American, it works. It works. And there is their mascot, Soar the Eagle. That is the American mascot. And I already showed you earlier today, the Big Ten's new mascot, as of today, based upon the powers that I have here at Peek Around the Corner, This is your Big Ten mascot. Once I find what I'm trying to find here. This is your Big Ten mascot. So you've got the eagle, which is named Soar, and you've got this mascot, which is named the Flugarian Empire. The Flugarian Empire mascot for the Big Ten. This is breaking news. This is breaking news. This is breaking news. All right? All right. So let's get back to the American here. Eagle is branded. The American unveils the first conference mascot on Monday, just ahead of its football media days later this week. The conference unveiled the results of a year-long dynamic modernization, which includes the introduction of what is believed to be the first ever mascot for a college sports conference. A wingless, muscle-bound eagle named Soar. In addition to its avian ambassador, the league has decided to drop the modifier athletic from its official name. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It will now refer to itself as the American Conference, or simply the American. And that is all that we will cover on that. There's a big old article. I will put a link into the description box below the video. You can read it all. Greg, always first with the breaking news. Yes, yes. Will Darius Taylor run for 1,000 yards this season? Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Henderson. I don't know. How about that? I do not know. I don't even want to say anything. I don't want to say it. Here's the problem. When Darius Taylor was a true freshman 2 years ago, I hyped him up. I put out all this Minnesota Golden Gopher propaganda. And right before game one, because he was going to play a lot for the Gophers, right before game one, he had a soft tissue injury. And then it took him a while to get going. A hamstring injury. And then he finished the season strong, and everybody could tell what a great running back he was going to be. So then last year, Darius Taylor, I kept saying, remember the name, Darius Taylor. Remember the name, remember the name. 2 hours before kickoff, I'm sitting in the studio here. I'm ready to do the watch party. I've got North Carolina and Minnesota on the blackboard. Gophers are favored. Omarion Hampton, the great tough running back for North Carolina, going against Darius Taylor, Minnesota. 2 hours before kickoff. Darius Taylor, he ain't gonna play. He ain't gonna play. Again, soft tissue injury. And he had another fantastic year. He's rated one of the top running backs. But I want Darius Taylor to be ready against Buffalo. I want him to be ready week one. Game one. Let's go! Get off the blocks. Wrap him up in bubble wrap. Wrap up Darius Taylor in bubble wrap the last 2 weeks of August camp. So I'm afraid to even answer this question. This is a loaded question. This is a trap. Because if I say yes, Darius Taylor is not going to be ready. Not going to be ready for game one. Also, the Gophers' backup running back, RB2, is A.J. Turner. A lot of Power 4 conference teams went after A.J. Turner in the portal. He had an historic, unbelievable season at Marshall. He ran over, his average per rush was well over 8 yards per rush. And in spring camp, the reports was he was sensational. So we've got Darius Taylor. We've got A.J. Turner. I mean, there are publications out there that listed the Gophers with the third best running back backfield in the nation. That is if Darius Taylor can get out of camp without an injury. So I don't know how to... And Darius Taylor is going to catch like 25, 30 balls out of the backfield. He's a great receiver. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm not going to answer that question because I'm just going to... Wait a second. I can't be afraid. I'm starting to sound like Greg the Cooler. I'm not Greg the Cooler. I'm not going to jinx Darius Taylor. I cannot run away from this question. Hammer Hennison, yes, Darius Taylor is going to run for over 1,000 yards. Yes, Darius Taylor is going to end up being first team All Big Ten. It is Greg the Gold, no longer Greg the Cooler. Thank you, Hammer Hennison, for your super chat. I appreciate it so very much. I took the long way to get there, but yes, he is going to run for over 1,000 yards. Greg, good luck with your picks. I might not be right, but I know you'll be wrong. Thank you, Stormy Cyclone. Thank you for your generosity, if not for your support. Thank you, Stormy Cyclone. Appreciate your support so very much. Come on. Breaking news. Taylor just inexplicably broke his leg. You guys are killing me. Okay, let's get to the big report on 3. Memphis offers $200 million. $200 million to the Big 12 to enter the conference. The big breaking news of today. Let me pop up this a little bit more so you guys can actually see it. There we go. Memphis reportedly offered a $200 million to the Big 12 to enter the conference, according to Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger. According to the report, it's currently not enough support at the moment. The proposal from Memphis, one of the most aggressive membership propositions in college athletic history, features hundreds of millions of dollars in sponsorship commitment to the Big 12 from Memphis, University of Memphis affiliated corporate partners, as well as the school eschewing revenue distribution from the league for at least 5 years. Memphis, hundreds of million dollars in sponsorship, not taking any revenue, media revenue money from the conference for at least 5 years. This particular effort began more than a year ago. Memphis President Bill Hardgrave has spent at least 14 months visiting with presidents, top athletic administrators of many Big 12 schools in individual on-campus meetings that have accumulated in a membership offer to the league that is expected to be as high as $200 million over the next 5 years. Memphis currently resides in the now rebranded American Conference. Now, the Tigers, the Memphis Tigers athletic department wants to make the move to the Power Four. Big 12 officials are reportedly exploring the proposal made by Memphis, but there is not league-wide support. Any expansion move needs the support of a supermajority of the league's presidents and chancellors, which is 12 of the 16 schools. The Big 12 previously explored expansion proposals from Gonzaga and UConn, but neither gained the necessary support. There are still hurdles, as Dellinger reported, but Memphis' offer is certainly more lucrative than Gonzaga and UConn. Interesting, this isn't exactly the first time Memphis was looked over as a potential addition for the Big 12. We vetted Memphis when we added the other four, Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, and BYU, and chose not to add them, said one Big 12 administrator to Dellinger. What's changed now? As the report states, Memphis is the latest school to take a big swing for a Power Four conference in an unprecedented manner. SMU joined the ACC while agreeing to take no league revenue at first. The American exit fee is reportedly $25 million at minimum for Memphis to exit the conference. Memphis officials reportedly expect to share the full $20.5 million in rev share with athletes next year, and they've told that to the Big 12, perhaps making their offer more appealing. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There has been more reports that have come out. Nicole Auerbach, every single one of them saying the support is not there in the Big 12. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. It does not look like it's going to happen. I'm very interested to see what the Big 12, fans of Big 12 schools think of this. Are you opposed bringing in Memphis as school 17? Is that enough money? Is that enough value that you are getting with the Memphis Tigers? Or are you just willing to wait? Even though, look, a lot of athletic departments in the Big 12 are stressed. That extra few millions of dollars could really help out at this time. But are you comfortable? Do you support the Big 12 waiting, saying no to Memphis at this time to see what else is going to happen out there in the college football landscape? This does not surprise me that the Big 12 is saying no to Memphis. But I did not know about this big lucrative deal that Memphis was showing to the Big 12. The next question I have is, what does Memphis do next? Does Memphis take another look at the Pac-12? Does Memphis take a look at moving their basketball program to the Big East and joining the Pac-12 as a football-only member? Or do they stick with the AAC? I mean, the American. Do they stick with the American? Or does Tulane and Memphis both take a look at the Pac-12? Very interesting times. Memphis has been working on this, according to reports, for the last 14 months. Their president has met with the presidents of the Big 12 on campus meetings. Memphis brought a lot of value here. There's a lot of money that could be well used by the Big 12 schools, and they said no. Now, it comes as no surprise that the Big 12, they've got their own plans. They've got their own options. They're looking at private equity. They're looking at private capital. They're looking at the ACC possible implosion. Who knows what that phone call between Smash Capital and some schools in the Big 12 and some schools in the ACC, that clandestine phone call. Who knows what the Big 12 is thinking about now? But we know that Gonzaga's offer was not good enough for the Big 12 presidents. We know that UConn has not been invited to the Big 12, and there was an offer there. And now we got reports of of Memphis, a huge offer to join the Big 12. I personally don't blame Memphis for trying to climb the wall. I did not blame SMU. I thought that was the best. Look, SMU, people are willing to pay for it. Good job, SMU, to climb over that wall, to get to a Power 4 conference. I don't blame Memphis at all. And I don't blame Memphis for not waiting around for the ACC to implode. If there's an option, if you've got support, if you've got sponsorship report, if you've got FedEx support, if you've got university support, go for it. Go for it. And they went for it. And so far, it hasn't worked out. But you can't score unless you shoot. And Memphis shot the ball. So I don't blame them at all. I'm very interested to see what you've got for your comments and with your phone calls. Memphis would be a Jamie Bengals girl. Thank you, Mrs. Arkansas Razorback and Memphis Tiger supporter. Memphis would be a nice addition for the leftover ACC schools one day. Vox Quindaro, total respect for Memphis trying this. Money talks. Apparently the Big 12 needs to see it scream. Lee, it would have been really bad look if the Big 12 would have accepted this deal. Really? A real bad look? Jamie Bengals girl, Memphis was in the Big East for days. Before the conference split apart, Memphis has wanted to be in the Big East for decades. BYU football. It's because there's not going to be any realignment until some of the issues are solved. NIL, revenue sharing cap, nobody's adding anybody soon. NorCal Trojan 91. I'm sorry, NorCal Trojan Man 91. Appreciate you coming on in. Louisville, Pitt, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech are on deck and bring more value to the Big 12. I think a lot of Big 12 people would agree with you, NorCal Trojan Man. I'm going to be opening up the phone lines here real quick. Nothing like throwing a big piece of cheese on those square Memphis barbecue ribs. Oh, come on. Come on. You don't put cheese on your Memphis barbecue ribs. I know that. I know you're just getting me. You're just trying to get me fired up. You're just trying to get me fired up. Chris Kenny, Memphis should have been added in 2021 instead of Houston. But it makes no sense to add them now. Sean, Memphis got this playbook from SMU. And I'm going to say it like I said it early in the program. Memphis is not the only school that is doing this. They're not. Even when it comes to trying to land a spot in the Power 2. The communications, the cloak and dagger. There are schools that are willing to take less to get into the Power 2. So, and this is not the only one that has happened in G5. There is a lot of trying to get to higher ground. No matter what level you're at, you're trying to get to higher ground. The SMU playbook is going to get played over and over and over again. A lot of them we're not going to hear about. A lot of them aren't going to be successful. But Memphis is not the only one. Jamie Bangles girl, Memphis is renovating. The Liberty Bowl, $250 million renovation and rebuilding one entire side of the stadium. And they're not doing it to stay in the American. Texas Tech would probably do it for a few years to join a P2. Yep. I'm not saying that has happened. I'm not saying that's going on. I do not know. But I do know there is one particular ACC school that has let it be known to everybody. Not everybody in public, but if the ACC, if the top brands do get poached, Duke is willing to come in, and they said they'll take care of themselves. So it's going on at a much, it's happening. It's going on in more places than just Memphis. Elliot Howard, the Big 12 would be smart to take this offer from Memphis. Okay, we're going to open up the phone lines. 763 260 1333. 763 260 1333. I appreciate everybody coming on in. We got about 160 people in the house. Give me a call. 763 260 1333. Memphis. Memphis made a huge offer. Now maybe they'll come back to this. Maybe Memphis is going to say, look, give us a number. Give us a number. Give us a number. While we wait for a phone call, this was, I covered this a little bit on my X account. The most valuable football programs in college football. We'll get to that later. We'll get to it later.
From
Stormy Cyclone.
Stormy Cyclone. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it. The floor is yours.
Well, what do you think of this Memphis thing, Greg?
Let
me rephrase that. 3 years ago, when they took Cincinnati, UCF, BYU, and Houston, Yormark said, well, and the presidents, that they still had some work to do.
Yeah.
And apparently they've done work financially to try to make this work. I'm just wanting to know what that all included. You know what I mean? What else have they done since 3 or 4 years ago, whenever that was? You know what I'm saying? The FedEx deal's big. There's no doubt. The Big 12, could use the money. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know what that comes to per school. they do have the Liberty Bowl there. They got, they got AutoZone. They got, what's the other big company? Lowe's, I guess. But, it can't be all about finance. You got to look down the road here too, I mean, their academics, I don't know. They can't be that good, I would imagine, but not like we're an academic conference to start with, but they can't be, all about the money, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it can be. I don't know. I just think you kind of got to wait it out with all the legal things that have been going on here lately, and then you got the ACC on top of it. I don't know if you can make this move at this point.
I don't think the timing is all that good, right?
That's the bottom line I'm trying to get to. I just don't think the timing is correct for it. I ain't saying it's out of the picture. You always got to negotiate and listen to everybody. And we know that's going on by about everybody. Let's put it bluntly.
Brett Yormark said that the Big 12 is open for business, and so the president of Memphis said, "All right, let's see how open you are," and he made a business proposition, a proposal, and it just didn't work out, at least not at this time.
Yeah, I guess that's a point on that, I guess. And they're on, as of last week, you never really mentioned it, but, they did get put on some probation as of last week, too. I didn't know if that's another bad timing deal, less than a week later, you got that, this coming out after their probation deal. Apparently there was some tests or something. I don't know. They just got put on some probation last week. I seen it on ESPN.
Yeah.
So, but that's all I really got. I just, I ain't saying they're out of the picture. I'm just saying it's not very good timing. Yep. You cannot make that move at this point if you're the Big 12.
And what? So let's say they did have the support to do it, and they brought him in. What are you going to do then? You're gonna go to 18 teams? You're going to be at an odd number? Now you can be at an odd number. It just, it complicates things, but you can be at an odd number. Would you sit there at 17 until the ACC implodes?
Well, I think at that point, if you're going to make that kind of a move at that point, I think you kind of got to look at UConn again, don't you? I mean, to bring them in together. You know what I mean?
But then again, these spots, I mean, Yormark is looking at something happening to the ACC, right? So it's kind of like we got to keep these spots open just in case there's an opportunity for Louisville or Virginia Tech or something like that.
Right. And I don't know. I just like to be the fly on the wall just to see what Yarmark does behind closed doors, because you'd probably be amazed some of the things that are going on right now. You know what I mean? I know you want to, I take pokes at you all the time.
Yeah.
But
so does everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
But I know you like to, I know about this, what do you call it? The college football playoff, about Yormark.
Yeah.
That was another thing I kind of wanted to bring up before I go. The 5-11 is not a good model for the Big 12 at this point, but you got to think how many, we've got 8 new teams in our conference in the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a new conference. You got to leave it. You got to give it a little time to grow. Look what some of these teams have done. The Texas Tech, BYU, Kansas, even their investment in the state, even my Iowa State Cyclones with the Cytown thing. And Baylor, there's all kinds of things they are building here, and it's just, you got to leave it grow a little bit, you know what I mean? And I think that cap kind of puts that to a kibosh. Although I do like your 4-4-3-3, 2-1 or whatever model you had there. I do like that. You know what I mean? Just to get us to that point, you know what I'm saying? But that's really all I got, Greg. I just had to call you up before Farmageddon. Make sure you pick Kansas State so that I feel a little safer.
I have not made my decision. I got to break down the tape. I got to break down the tape. I got to look at everything. I got to look at the injury report. Boy, that's a tough game. That's a tough game to come out of the
I
chute.
know.
Now last year I took Georgia Tech in the points, and of course I won because Georgia Tech won. But that didn't help me out because then I went on a big losing streak anyway. So, but anyway, we got more callers. I appreciate it, Stormy, for the call. Appreciate it, my man.
All right, thank you, Greg.
Call again, sir.
Yep, you bet. Bye.
Oh, I just lost the call. I did not lose it, but somebody just dropped off. Call again. Call again. There we go. There we go.
Call from
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for taking the call.
You got it.
The tweet you had with regard to forces inside the Big 12 are all kumbaya Super League for
Yeah, but okay, go ahead. You can yell at me, Rick, but that wasn't like, that was only a half. My post was not, I was not equating the two events. I was just trying to say everyone acts in their own interests. It was a clumsy, I thought, funny way of pointing something out, but I've gotten dragged over the coals. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I see. It's not a source that's putting. It's not a Dellinger or a Nicole Auerbach or anything that's putting that out. I mean,
maybe I shouldn't have interrupted you. What post are you talking about again? The Kumbaya one.
The one. Correct, with 72 teams or schools to save college football. The Big 12, it specifically says, forces inside Big 12.
Forces, not sources. Forces.
Correct.
So I'm talking Cody Campbell, and people want this Super League to happen to 72 teams. Right?
Yeah, but what do you...
Yeah.
You're basing that on... That's nothing new, right?
Nothing new, no. And I'm just kind of throwing an elbow. I'm just kind of saying, hey, it's not really a serious post. I probably should not have posted it. Okay.
I thought it was coming to surface again.
Fox Quindaro, own your nonsense. Okay, I'm going to own it. I love that post. It served a purpose. That's all I'm saying. But not the purpose.
I took it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, well, it was people want certain things to happen because people want everyone to act for the best interest of 72 top brands. All I'm saying is the Big 12 said, nah, we're good, when Memphis tried to give them hundreds of millions of dollars. And that same thing is happening with the top brands in the SEC and the Big Ten when it comes to Super League. I was just pointing that out, but go ahead. I'm getting more and more trouble every time I open up my mouth. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, well, I just wanted clarification on that. That was it.
Yeah.
And whether or not you've seen, because I know you're so heavy into college football, but I'm a NFL junkie.
Yeah.
Have you seen the resignations from the senior executives for the NFL Players Association?
I've seen it, but I haven't read on it.
They're caught. They've been caught. They've been caught doing the players wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They work for the players.
Yes, they do.
the NFL Players Association.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was getting squishy with private equity.
Oh.
I don't know what the details on the other one who, quote, resigned, close quote.
Mm-hmm.
But I needed you to understand that the bad guys aren't only in college football. When it comes to when it comes to taking property from the players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
You got it. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
From
Go Canes 1993.
What was the handle again?
Go Canes 1993.
Oh, Go Canes 1993. I thought you said cocaine 1993. Go Canes 1993. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it, sir. The floor is yours.
How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Just wanted to call, and I was listening to your show from over the weekend this morning, and I just had a question as far as this dissolution theory in the ACC. I can't wrap my head around, and maybe I'm a little bit slow, but why would Clemson, Florida State, Miami, UNC agree to, that sort of big brand versus little brand bake-off just for football? I don't think it bridges the gap financially, with the Big Ten and the SEC, the way that, their current problems with the ACC are. I don't see, I understand why NC State would love that, or what some of these other schools that are in that second tier below, but if you're one of those 4 or 5 big brands, why would you agree to that?
That's a great question. And I don't really have a good answer, but I'll give you my speculation, okay? There has been a lot of communication in many different rooms, in many different groups of people when it comes to private capital, private equity, blah, 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 blah. And some of that, a lot of it is connected with what's the relationship. There's a lot of questions like to a private equity firm. What is your relationship with this streaming company, that streaming company? What kind of sponsorship money can you bring in? If you notice, Memphis is acting like sort of like private equity, or
right.
Maybe I should have used that, but Memphis is guaranteeing sponsorship money, okay? Untapped sponsorship money that you would not be able to get unless we were a part of you, Big 12. That's what these private equity firms are doing. We can guarantee you this sponsorship money. So during these communications, during these talks, again, 99% speculation, 1%, I don't know what category you want to put it in. I'm going to mix it in with the 99%. I got a feeling that there's been some talks with some sort of partner, be it private equity or directly to a streaming giant or something. It can't be to a streaming giant because they can't have those type of community.
Right, because of their deal with ESPN.
Yeah, they're no way close to being outside of that exclusive. Right. But to a private equity company, right? Just maybe, you're Miami, you're Florida State, you're Clemson, you're North Carolina State, Virginia Tech. Maybe have a beat on, geez, if we did this, there would be an opportunity for such and such sponsorship money in such and such streaming value. Yeah, we might lose a little bit of exposure, but then, streaming is coming on here. It's coming on strong. Maybe, that's what I'm speculating, that maybe.
But I would assume, and I don't mean to interrupt, but wouldn't that come with another GOR? Like if you're Clemson and Florida State and you just got out from underneath that giant boulder, why would you agree to that?
That's a problem. Now, I do not know. I think there is how do I put it? I think there is a instilled motivation to a large, and I'm not saying it's a majority, but a large swath of North Carolina Chapel Hill, in which they want to keep their friends close to them.
Right, which makes sense.
For them, I think this type of, that we're going down this rabbit hole speculating, would make sense for them to have this as a live option. Not that they would do it, but build this thing up, have a live option. Can we do this? Would it work? For Florida State and Clemson, if they're having these, and they are having these contacts with the Big Ten and the SEC, and if it's still the same condition on the ground in which all these reporters reported on, which I reported on June 15th of last year, that they're not the number one targets, and if North Carolina's not willing to budge, maybe there's not an option out there. If that is still the condition on the ground, then maybe Florida State and Clemson would be incentivized to have this, at least have a live option. And Miami's like in their own category.
Yeah, and I'm more thinking about, and just from my own position in Miami, Miami's not really in a position where they want to be the bad guy as far as being litigious and other things like that. So if you're Florida State and Clemson, you've already done the glass breaking, right? You've already gotten your freedom. Why would you voluntarily, especially because then there's the governance issue as far as, does this new conference have the ACC's P4 seat? Like, do you then sacrifice all the leverage you have there? And then if there is going to be a seismic realignment in 2030, 2031, when all these media deals come up, you give up your ability to be nimble in that time. Like, if anything, if I'm the Florida State or Clemson, I would just sit tight until everything sort of settles and you know for sure you don't have a spot. Like, why would you, basically retie yourself to the ACC Bowl if you just got out from underneath?
It's a great point. It's a great point. And that may tilt in favor of that second option, in where you just you're in the conference. You remain in the conference.
And do divisions.
But you do your division. So now you're really nailing down the viewership numbers. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yep, absolutely.
So that could be what happens. But we shall.
And you don't see that option being on the table if, for example, Florida State and Clemson were going to go to the P2, and you have Miami, Notre Dame, and UNC, et cetera, left. You don't do that break off with football only if you have those two gone, correct?
Yeah, I think you have to have those two beachheads. Florida State,
that's what
Clemson.
I figured. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. Appreciate it.
Take it easy. Bye.
You got it. You got to look at it this way. Schools, they're trying to stack up their options. And the ACC schools did not have this ability to do that until their victory in the courts.
From
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling. What's going on, sir?
Hi, Greg. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy.
Well, I believe the NCAA must dislike Wisconsin right now because not only did they lose Lucas, they also lost Fort Queen.
Yeah.
The defensive back.
What happened?
He did not get the extra year eligibility.
Yeah.
And if you were able to watch Moment Show last night.
I think I watched a little bit of it. Yeah, I gave him a super chat. Did you see my super chat?
I kind of fell asleep during the show,
I put out a super chat on College Football Mafia show last night because they were talking about cultural differences between the North and the South, and you know what a Miami, or more importantly, what a Florida State and Clemson, would they have a cultural issue if they joined the Big Ten? And I put a super chat and I said there is no cultural difference between Minnesota and Wisconsin. It just so happens that one of them is axeless. So, anyway, so I put that out there. Sorry, Evil Badger, but it was a good joke at the time. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I give the College Football Mafia a big super chat last night.
Yep.
Stating that I believe that, like I've said in the past, that Fickle is not the right guy. Should have never been the right guy. I believe that McIntosh is at fault for this because the subpar recruiting, the 12-13 record in the first 2 years. Not only am I upset, there are a lot of other Badger fans that are upset with how things are going. Mm-hmm. And there's a Lockdown Badgers podcast host that believes that no matter what happens this year, Rick will get another year. I'm saying that if they go 3-9 or 4-8, that Fickle has to go, and so should McIntosh, because the fans, the season ticket holders, the fans are going to revolt on the University of Wisconsin if they don't get back to the way things were as far as the type of offense that they run. And I don't know if they got the right guys to run the offense or defense, because the defensive coordinator hasn't been that great either. And Fickle's a defensive guy, which I don't understand why he messed that decision up also. But I'm afraid that Miami, Ohio might upset the Badgers, and I don't know if Fickle can survive if they go 3-9 or 2-10 without the fans just not showing up to games, not buying tickets, not buying merch.
So you're nervous of the very first game of the season against Miami of Ohio, right?
Yeah, just because of what's happened in the past. Because last year against, I believe it was Western Michigan, mm-hmm. They had to pull it out in the fourth quarter to win that game. Mm-hmm. And then South Dakota last year wasn't that great either. They had to basically go to the end of the game to pull that one out. And I think the schedule is just as bad this year as it was last year, and maybe even worse. And for ESPN, seeing that the top 10 toughest schedules there's in the SEC, a bunch of baloney. Because I believe that Wisconsin is probably a top 5 toughest schedule in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all. I want to hear what you think. Why I shouldn't be or should be worried about the season and other Wisconsin fans. I know that evil Gopher.
I'm an evil Gopher, no question about it. I think what's important for Wisconsin is to be better at the end of the season than they are at the beginning of the season. So I don't think we should judge Wisconsin on its record this year. I don't think the record is that important. I think it's important how they play against Indiana, Illinois, and Minnesota at the end of the year. Regardless if they're 4-5, 5-4, 3-6, 2-7, going into those last 3 games. Has your team given up on Fickle? Are they still listening to Fickle? Is there complete demoralization in Madison? Those last 3 games, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, how do you guys do against those 3 teams? I think that decides Luke Fickle's career at Wisconsin. Not the Alabama game, not all these tough games, not Iowa, not Michigan, not Bama, not Oregon, not Washington, but the last 3 games.
Well, last year, Hunter Roller, who's now in the NFL, said that there were guys on the team that didn't show the effort, didn't put in the effort to play. And he called them out. And I think that Fickle has lost the locker room, personally.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I got, Greg.
All right, man. I appreciate the phone call, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Excellent. Oh boy, we've got an Iowa Hawkeye in the chat room. We've got Eric Best, old friend of mine, Drake, Iowa, the Harvard of the Midwest from Drake, Iowa Hawkeye fan, Eric Best. Great first-time caller, long-time listener, CU86. You have to be there to talk some football. I will not be there August 6th. I can't make it. Gonna be on vacation. In fact, we are leaving August 1st. We're coming back August 5th, and then we're leaving again for a few days, so I will not be able to make it. We always take our holiday. Last year we were in Hawaii. This year we are going to central Minnesota and just drive around and stay at places. And who's that famous, who's that guy who flew St. Louis airplane that went across the ocean? We're going to see where he grew up in Little Falls, Minnesota. We're going to do a lot of traveling around. Go to Big Island, great. Well, Wayne Newton? No. Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh. Yes. We're going to see his house where he grew up. And a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, Eric, I wish I could make it, but I can't. You guys put it right in the spot that's the one time of the year that I'm on vacation. The only time I can get away from my caretaking of my mother. So, Eric Best, Iowa Hawkeye. Yeah, well, yes, the Minneapolis St. Paul Airport is named after him, Greg. Yeah. Look, my mind is going, guys. My mind only has so much capacity, and it is crammed in with all these names of all these football players. We do a spotlight show every single day. Today we did the Washington Huskies spotlight. Demond Williams, the quarterback who looks sensational in the Sun Bowl. We went Jonah Coleman going in his 4th year. This was his 3rd year last year, over 1,000 yards rushing. We talked about the emergence of Denzel Boston. And then they went in the portal and got Amari Evans, who's going to stretch the field, hopefully, for the Washington Huskies. And then they've got the shutdown corner. They got in the portal. Arizona Wildcats lost their best defensive player. Washington, Mr. Fish was able to pick him up. Decario Davis, a major blow to Arizona, a major gift to Washington. Shut down corner. We talked about Washington's football schedule. They got to play Illinois, Michigan, the Buckeyes, and the Ducks. 4 of the top 5 rated teams in the media poll, at least in the media poll. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. That is not what I wanted. The Big Ten preseason media poll. Once again, there are 4 certainties in life, 4 ultimate truths in life. 1, death. 2, taxes. 3, Nebraska is going to be picked ahead of the Gophers in the Big Ten media poll. And 4, Minnesota will finish ahead of Nebraska in the Big Ten standings. That is how it always works. Year after year after year after year. I want to thank everybody for joining us today on our live show here on July 21st. August 23rd is when the season starts. August 23rd, I want to thank Heartbreak 25, Bill G, Ricky Tungate, Helmer Henniston, and Stormy Cyclone for your donations to help us keep the lights on. I appreciate it. We had well over 160 people, basically all show long. I want to appreciate all you coming on in. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel and turn on those notifications. We can come on live at any time, morning, afternoon, or night to cover the breaking news. So when you subscribe, you got to turn on those notifications. And before you leave, please smash the like button. Keep your head on a swivel. It's going to be a very busy week. It is Big Ten Media Days. Tony Petitti, Silent Tony, get up in front of the microphone and fight for your vision of automatic qualifiers in the college football playoffs. Don't let it to where the fat guy from Minnesota has to continually fight for your vision, Tony. You got to do it yourself. You've got to do it yourself. And a little word of advice. 16 ain't going to work. It's got to be 18. It's got to be 18. 4-4-3-3-1-3. You need the Big 12 and the ACC to have that third automatic bid because they got to have a playing game. They've got to be able to have a playing game for them to buy into it. And then you got to keep those 3 at-large bids. You got to have at least 3 for the SEC to buy into it. 4-4-3-3-1-3. Let's make the regular season the most valuable, interesting, exciting season. More teams, more involved in the playoff race or being spoilers. More fan bases later in the season, knowing the pathway they have to get to the playoffs versus the 5+11 abomination. 5+11 is an absolute abomination and a gift to the Southeastern Conference. Come on aboard the Petitti Fat Flugard train. But Tony, you got to fight for your vision. And you got to expand your vision. 16 ain't going to work, but 18 just could work. Until next time. From all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.